These just might be some of the best designer fragrances currently available on the market. For the most part, these fall right around the $100 range. Some dip a little bit below that, some maybe over that a little bit. But again, we're sticking with designers. If this were a niche video, it would go a different and much more expensive direction. And maybe that's something I'll do in the future, but I wanted to stick to things that are going to be more budget friendly, at least comparatively speaking. And I might even do a version of this based around cheapies as well. You know, things that are, I don't know, $30, $35 and below, because there are some amazing ones out there too. So you're gonna see some pretty big names in here in terms of, you know, the brands, the designer brands. Some of these might surprise you, others probably won't at all. So I'll link these down below to discounters if you want to grab some for yourself. Also, I've got a mailing list and texting list you can jump onto if you want to be notified of some of the best deals and rare fragrance restocks and everything like that. You will be the first to find out over there. I promise you're not going to want to miss out. Let's get things kicked off with Valentino. This is going to be Uomo. Just the original, keeping it really, really easy here. This one is so easy to forget about, but I'm telling you guys, it is worth picking up. Now, this one's got coffee, leather, hazelnut, some chocolate. It's where it all started, right here. And, you know, Uomo Intense and even some of the newer ones, like the Coral Fantasy and all of that stuff's getting talked about. You just don't hear about this one as much. It's a gourmand, but with a classy, upscale, and refined twist. Smells premium. And also, when you take a look at the price of this compared to a lot of the other flankers, it's one of the most affordable ones. You know, it has been out the longest. There's a lot of it out there, and so there's no real demand issue for this one. And so the prices are fair on this. Again, a lot lower than the others. I think sometimes you can get 100 mils for in the $80 to $90 range, and some of the others are touching up over 100. Like Uomo Intense is like around 110. And again, when it comes down to it, you know, it's one that is just not receiving the same amount of love that I think it should. And if you want a gourmand winter scent that actually has a little bit more of like a professional and mature smell to it rather than something that smells like dessert and is super playful, this is one to look into. Next up, going with another like OG style, we have Dior Homme. This is original, but it's, you know, the Dior Homme with Iris. So if you already have Dior Homme 2011, you're good. If you don't, and you can get a bottle of Dior Homme Original, then this is the way to go as well. So this one has Iris, okay? Doesn't contain all of the vetiver and cashmere and stuff like Dior Homme 2020. There's a big difference between those. And so this is, again, where this DNA started. It's a fresher Iris compared to Dior Homme Intense and all of the other ones out there pretty much. But it also isn't as fresh as something like Prada L'Homme. So it's kind of a balancing act when you put this one on a scale. Prada L'Homme is going to be on the fresher end all the way over here. Dior Homme Original is going to be somewhere in the middle. And then DHI, DHP, VUI, and all that's going to be over here on the sweeter end of things. So I think this one has a great middle ground. This stuff is also perfect for office wear, daily wear, to work in general. Doesn't have to be an office environment, school, whatever, right? In a professional environment or even a more laid back and casual environment, this stuff excels. I also love that they brought back and kind of, you know, go with the silver atomizer there under the cap. Nice little touch that I think they got away from in some of the other flankers over the years, but they maintain that here. Stuff smells amazing. It's powdery and dusty, but not too much. There's some nice fresh balance here. There's a lot of lavender aromatics in here. You gotta have a bottle of this stuff around. It is perfect. Moving into Prada Luna Rossa Black up next. A lot of tonka bean and amber in here. Not for everybody. Very dusty, okay, very powdery. If you think, you know, Dior Homme Original is powdery, or Dior Homme Intense, or whatever, you're in for a rude awakening when you put your nose on this. It is next level. And I always like to make that clear because it might not be what you're expecting, you know, because this is not the type of thing that generally would get a ton of hype. It's not something that the average everyday wearer is probably going to really enjoy. People will for sure. It's not as common. It's not an Acqua di Gio or anything like that. And so approach this one with caution and do your due diligence. It's important, you know, in this case because it's different, but in a good way. And for me, I love it. It's something that is a nice reset when I'm smelling and wearing things that all kind of run together and start to smell similar. This one just kind of brings you back to reality and gives you something a little bit new and exciting to pull off. It works really well for the cold weather. It's something that's very comforting and warming as well. On discounters, I don't know, 110 maybe or so, right around there for 100 ml. Retails for like 130 or 135, so a little bit of savings. Definitely one to look into. Mercedes-Benz Club Black is up next. One of the best affordable designer level vanillas out there, you know, and we're talking about $50 for this one. So a lot more affordable than a lot of your other niche vanillas and even some other designer offerings as well. So besides the vanilla, you get some benzoin, which kind of gives off a little bit of a powderiness to offset the overwhelmingly syrupy kind of vanilla, and then a little tiny bit of ambroxan off the top to give it a sparkling kind of opening. It is not a blue fragrance, okay? You know, don't think that when you see the ambroxan. It's not like that. It just gives it a little bit of a pop off the top. Another one that is best to approach with some thought process, you know, very sweet and not typical for a men's scent. So if you can kind of establish that and be okay with that, then you're going to have pretty good managed expectations going into this one if you were to blind buy it. And again, if you're someone who just loves the smell of vanilla, you're going to love this. Armani Stronger With You absolutely is up next. Man, is this stuff good. My favorite flanker, I've talked about it a lot. Don't need to go into a ton of detail, but it does have some booze in there. And then you still get the sweet chestnut and all of that good stuff as well. A lot of the tonka bean and everything. Kind of gourmand leaning. What you'll find with this one is it is a little bit more refined and, I don't know, a little bit more polished compared to the original and intensely. And so for me, this has always been the one to get. The exclusive editions are also really good, like Stronger With You Oud, the new Stronger With You Amber, even Stronger With You Leather. They're all good. They are exclusive editions, and so therefore can be a bit harder to find sometimes, as can this one, though, I guess, to be fair. So, you know, it just comes down to kind of maybe doing some testing, doing some sampling, see what works best for you. As a whole, I would say from a blind buy standpoint, and just if you only wanted to pick up one or two and not have to go and buy the whole lineup, absolutely would be one that I would say you need to have. Okay, start here, and from there you can maybe branch off and pick up one of the exclusive editions if you want, but this is the one to have, especially out of the main three, the EDT, EDP, and this. Go for this. Spicebomb Extreme is such a perfect scent that also needs no introduction. It's been getting a very deserved amount of attention since as long as I can remember, probably since I first started out, and before that, this one was getting spoken of highly, and for great reason. It's the original Spicebomb, but just more mature, more refined, and a whole lot better and more interesting. So you still get a lot of that tobacco and a lot of the spice, of course. It's just one that doesn't feel as played out, for one, as Spicebomb, the original, but also it just doesn't feel as playful and obnoxious and kind of, you know, cologne guy-ish, because that label has been put on the original Spicebomb. And as much as I love the scent, I can see why. Okay, and that's not a dig at Spicebomb, again, because I really like it. The original, it's great. It's one that I love to wear and love to smell, even still. But the Extreme is a much better scent overall, and truly is a more extreme, intense, and rich version of the original. It's a great improvement. Pure Excess Night by Paco Rabanne. This one is very interesting because the opening is strong, and the opening will put so many people off. And I've always said this, you know, you got to get past the opening. So many people are going to spray this once. They're immediately going to be taken aback or confused or repulsed, and they're going to wash it off, and they're never going to experience the entirety of the scent. And so, you know, fair enough, more for us, I guess, who have made it through and have given it multiple wearings and like it. But the opening will, you know, really discourage a lot of people, because it is spicy, like no joke, to the point where even still for me sometimes when I open this one up, it's spicy and strong enough to make me almost cough and like sneeze. You get a lot of ginseng off the opening, a lot of ginger, dries down to some cacao and some patchouli and some tonka bean and caramel. So it does get considerably more smooth and sweet and delectable in the dry down. You just got to make it through that opening. I mean, it really gets your attention in a good way or a bad way. For me, I like it. It's something fun and interesting, although it is one where you don't want to smell it too close because you will very likely sneeze and or cough. It's that strong. And so this is the type of thing, again, that's not going to probably go over as well and get as popular as like Invictus, you know, or 1 million, right? But it is one here in the community anyways, I think could get a good amount of appreciation. It's just something out of the ordinary from Paco Rabanne. They're kind of doing something a little bit more unique, and I love it for that reason. If you can get a bottle of this stuff, I recommend it highly. It's one that is a bit harder to find. If you want to be notified of when it pops up, jump on my lists, texting and email down below. I'll get you taken care of along with anything else. No worries there. So if you're on there, you're not going to have too much trouble picking up a bottle. But again, it's one where if you blind buy it, worst case you don't like it, you're probably going to be able to turn around and sell it for what you paid for it, even opened and missing a couple sprays, because it is in demand. And that's the beauty of being on my lists, because a lot of things are like that. And so you can kind of get into them and try them with almost no risk involved. Gentlemen, Eau de Parfum Reserve Privé. This guy is a true definition of a perfect 10 out of 10 flanker. The Eau de Parfum is great. Love it. And up until this, the EDP was my favorite, and it's been around for a long time. There's been other flankers released since then, so it was not the newest, but it was still my favorite. This one, it did not take long for it to become my favorite, and there's no looking back. Unless they put out like an Eau de Parfum Reserve Privé Intense, or like a true Parfum concentration Reserve Privé, and they still managed to throw in the whiskey and the chestnut here, then maybe that could be better than this. But right now, I cannot see anything being released to top this. Maybe I'll eat my words in a few years, and I hope I do, because I love to see them push the bar and continue to release great things that stand out. But I think this is going to be the top dog for a while, and I'm okay with that. This is beautiful. So again, chestnut and whiskey. 2 new notes to this line, giving it a bit of a boozy kick, of course, and a gourmand facet from the chestnut. Kind of gives it also like a slight, besides gourmand, like almost a slight kind of fiery smokiness. The reason why I say that is because since like a Replica by the Fireplace used chestnut, the Stronger with use chestnut as well, and so a little bit gourmand, a little bit nutty. And then I just think from the By the Fireplace comparison, every time I smell that note, it reminds me a little bit of that, just this kind of smoky, kind of warming, inviting kind of texture. And so I get a little bit of that in here. And among all that, you still get iris, of course. So playing on that DNA, it's nice, sweet, creamy iris. It smells amazing. Some vanilla in here as well. This stuff, again, to go on and on about it, it's amazing. The One Royal Night is a fantastic exclusive edition that you can actually purchase. You know, Mysterious Night getting trickier. Luminous Night has been hard to get ever since it first came out, which is a bummer. This one is sandalwood heavy, amber heavy, no tobacco, which is interesting. And you might wish that there was tobacco in here, and I do. But also, I like the fact that this is good, like the most smooth of the line, minus that tobacco, you know, because it's not there. It's smoother, it's creamier, it's richer. They're really focusing a lot on the sandalwood and the amber here to just give it a different twist. You know, it still is Dolce & Gabbana the one, just with some interesting tweaks. It does have better performance than the one EDP and EDT and Gray and all of those. You know, it's not quite as strong as Mysterious Night, and it's about on par with Luminous Night, maybe slightly below, but compared to the main two, this one is stronger by a pretty good margin there, and so that's another great, you know, pro about this one as well. Last up for this video, we have Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum. Yes, to me, this is a 10 out of 10 work of art, and it sounds so basic to even say, you know, and I love Sauvage, I love Dylan Blue, I love Aqua Atlantique, I love all of those blue scents. I wear them often in the summertime, especially when it's warm, I should say, spring and summer. wintertime, I try to focus heavily on my sweet stuff, although you can easily pull them off. But Bleu de Chanel is the one where it's like, okay, this is truly very special. You know, again, I love those others that I just mentioned, and they're great, but this is really art right here. The Eau de Parfum and the Parfum especially are just so good. And again, it's one that so many people have smelled and have already, but if you're someone who doesn't have Bleu de Chanel yet, or you haven't smelled it somehow, you know, do yourself a favor and just go give it a try. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. Some of my favorite designer scents that I think are works of art. I'll link them down below. And again, for any of the ones that might be a little bit tough to get sometimes, jump on my mailing list and texting list. I'm always on the hunt every single day, Monday through Sunday, holidays and everything like that. Searching the discounters front to back, looking for rare finds and the best deals. Sometimes some amazing deals pop up on stuff that isn't even rare, but it's so far below what it normally is that it's a great buy. And so it's important to be on there. That way you'll be the first to know. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.